On behalf of MKSSS School of Fashion Technology and IIC, I welcome you all to today's workshop on design thinking, critical thinking and innovation design. We are honored to have Ms. Mallika ma'am here with us to guide us through the insightful session. I now invite Mallika ma'am to begin with the session. Thank you so much.
Hi girls, good morning. I can assure you one thing, that this is not going to be a boring session, because I will consistently keep on talking and I will keep you all engaged. So don't worry about it. Okay? So before I begin, I would like to introduce myself a little bit, because it is very important to know a speaker's background in terms of design. So I have been working with School of Fashion Technology for past, I don't know how many years, but since 2008. And I'm a very proud alumni of SOFT since the year 2000. And with the kind of performance that I had, with the kind of results I had been offered a job over here, and teaching was always my passion, it was in my blood. So I always wanted to take this up, and I did. And I'm very proud to be the part of now this fraternity of being an academician for past so many years now. Alright. I would like the last row to kindly shift over here. Aja, come. So talking a little bit about my design background, I have been teaching almost everything relevant to design for past 18 years now. And this includes subjects that are very, very close to my heart, which you guys are learning right now, which is fundamentals of design and advanced design. So actually speaking, my career began with teaching for the first years, and these two subjects have always remained very, very close to my heart, because I think for the period of around 12 years of my career, I was teaching these subjects. Besides these subjects, my forte were in creative surface developments, forecasting, collection developments, portfolio, craft research and design, and different categories for which design is done, like menswear, women's wear and kids wear. Eventually, I developed a lot of interest towards research, because it was an integral part of design domain. So since I was actively involved into research, my forte then began towards research and design combined together, which helped me to identify my aptitude towards writing research papers. So till now there are more than 17 research papers that I have published and presented nationally and internationally in different research symposiums. And I also had won an international award for the best research in the year 2021. I have been also invited as a reviewer for different conferences to select research papers at the international level. I've been doing a lot of research projects, I have been doing a lot of design projects outside as a freelancer. And besides that, I've been working very, very closely with major projects of college, out of which the very recent one is Astitva project, which is about covering different indigenous textile crafts of India, and we concentrated on Bhuj. And I worked on the textile craft called Ajrak, and it was recently showcased at the Astitva Bhuj Edit event that happened in the month of December. So this is about myself. Teaching was always been very, very closer to my heart, and design was always a very a domain and aptitude that I always had. So this particular thing is something that I have loved doing. And Naina ma'am, I think I have taught you also, if I am not wrong. There are many of your faculties, जिनको मैंने पढ़ाया है already, and it is fun to be an academician. It is fun to see your students being here teaching the other generation, and it is great to be the part of an institution who has played a critical role in how your value systems as a human being have been inculcated in yourself, right? So the reason why this particular workshop is being designed for you guys first years is because we feel that first years, I also personally feel that first years are going to be the faces of soft for the next 3 years, right? And we want you to be so perfect, we want you to be so ready for the industry in terms of not only your creativity but in terms of your skills and knowledge as well. And that was the reason why specifically we wanted this particular workshop to be conducted for you all. It is going to be little different from what you have been doing for the past few months in your first year. It is definitely design based because design thinking, critical thinking and innovation work hand in hand. So shall we start with it? Are you excited? Can you all hear me till the end? Alright, ma'am, can we start?
Yes.
Okay. Swami? You have to take the check करते हैं. Yeah. Alright, so a very basic question. Probably you started your design career with this particular question. What is design? I'm starting with the same thing. What is design? Tell me one thing, has your definition of what is design has changed for the past few months or is it just the same, which was there before you entered this field? Can anybody answer this? Has your definition of defining design, a word, has changed over the period of few months or it is just the same that it was earlier? You have to be little louder. Yeah.
So design, like from my perspective, it has changed these few months because design is not like art. Art is like basically like not planned at all. In design, you have to plan basic stuff. In order to come to that conclusion, you have to plan a lot of stuff to come up with a creative idea.
Okay.
But in design, it has to be both functional and even it should go with aesthetics. It should not only remain to functionality and aesthetics.
This is your changed definition after you joined Soft.
Yeah.
Very right. It is not just about function, it's also about the visual appeal which can be incorporated with the addition of aesthetics given to it, right? So function and decoration, functions and aesthetics is one of the definition of how you would like to define design. Anybody else? That's it? Only one person changed the definition or changed the perspective to look at design? No one else? बोलो मैं आगे नहीं जाऊंगी. Yes?
For a long time, I have believed, even before joining, that designing is a problem-solving attitude. And being here, it has only firmed that thought further.
Okay.
That design definitely is a problem-solving attitude.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, a definition of design beyond creativity and innovation is about adding functions, adding aesthetics, but also providing a solution towards a particular problem. So I think in first years, this definition may not be much utilized, but as you progress towards your course in second year, third year, fourth year, it will majorly revolve around this particular definition that this domain becomes a solution provider for a particular problem. Okay? Alright? Would anybody like to add anything? Anything? You two? First row? Would you like to add anything? I'm sure you must be having something. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Earlier, before joining a design school, all I knew about design was it's just everyone expressing themselves in different forms. In any field, whether it be product design or fashion design. But after joining a design college, like after these few months, I've realized that design is viewed in different perspectives. So there is not a single fixed definition for design. For me, I can use it as a problem solving element. Someone else can use it to make something which is aesthetically pleasing. So since it has different definitions to it, it cannot be just defined as one thing. I think that's what has changed. Like I had this fixed perspective, but now I know that there are different perspectives to it, and we'll always be learning about it. There's no end of learning.
Yeah, so the thought is right because the definition of design is very, very subjective. It differs from person to person, it changes from person to person, and the objective of to design changes from a designer to designer. Do you all agree with this? But we cannot say that the definition is something that varies, which is limitless. No, it has a limit. It is defined into certain words, but individual perception of designer leads or directs that particular design process. Okay, so for her it could be a problem, a solution over a problem. For someone it could be just a function. For someone it could be a function and aesthetics together. For someone it could be more about empathy. For someone it could be a very upcoming branch like innovation, upcoming branch like emotional design. Don Norman, कितने लोगों ने पढ़ा है? That's another field of design where emotions are added. Okay, and that's exactly where we will go ahead with that. Design thinking is definitely a human-centered concept. Okay, because like I have said, it is very subjective. Like I have said, every individual has a different perception to look at design and how it works. All right. So this human-centered approach is something that that also brings along with it a problem-solving aptitude, problem-solving areas. But along with it, it ensures, it aims to understand the needs and experiences of the user. Okay. So design is not anymore related to only creativity or innovation. It brings along with it all these aspects: solution, problem thinking, your TG, your target market, your needs, your requirements, the demands, the functions, the aesthetics, the emotions, the empathy, everything together. And that's exactly when all this is together, we call it a design thinking. We cannot be designers if we think or if we take design only from one perspective of any of these. As a designer, we should be in the position to consider design from all these aspects. The reason why I'm saying this is because if you don't consider all these aspects, you probably will land up in creating something which is a design, which is a product probably at the end of the day, right? But it may not be as promising, it may not be as applicable, it may not be as viable as you think. Why successful designs in the market have worked so far? Have they worked because just the function has been added to it, or just because the aesthetics have been added to it? No, because they have been thought from all these perspectives. Alright? And that's exactly why we call it as a user-centric field or user-centric experience. What's your problem? Why are you guys laughing? I've been seeing since very long. It is disturbing me. If you don't want to attend, please leave. I would love to concentrate on others. You're sitting in the first row, you're distracting me very badly. Don't do that. If you're not interested, kindly leave. Yeah, I'm pretty fine with it. And if you want to attend, attend with full attention. Alright. There. Are you guys checking out mobiles only? मोबाइल इधर लेने हैं या ध्यान दे रहे हो, क्या कर रहे हो? Please make sure that you are attending with full your senses, because the kind of outcome we are going to do after this workshop carries marks, will be added to your relevant subjects. Don't forget this. Okay? I know you must have been giving this धमकी so on so forth हर एक सेमिनार के लिए, but ये वाला वर्कशॉप जो है ये ऐसा ही होने वाला है. All right? Clear? Are we clear on this? All right. So this is required so that your design can become effective, obviously, and can hold an appeal to it. So that appeal is not just about creating aesthetics, it's about the kind of functions that you are adding to it, the kind of emotions you are adding to your design, the kind of need that you are creating in the market with your design. Alright? So I'm sure you have not been introduced with this, but there are these 5 stages of design that starts with empathize. I hope you all know the meaning of empathy. Right? The dictionary meaning of empathy is what?
understanding someone else's feelings.
Putting yourself in somebody else's shoe, right? In the normal language. So what we try to do is we try and understand what others must be going through, right? That's what empathy is all about, right? The very first characteristic that a designer needs to have is empathy, alright? Which unfortunately in your generation lacks big time, okay? Because this is something that I recently spoke at Pune Design Festival, that and this thought was very well appreciated, very well taken during the panel discussion, that the empathy is something, you all are very creative, you all are excellent in terms of your skills, be it drawing, be it creating something, be it talking, communication, everything is excellent. The only thing that lacks is the empathy, okay? Because you guys don't understand that, especially the problem with Gen Z and Gen Alphas, that you don't understand one thing, that emotions is also something that brings out the best of the design in you guys, okay? The moment you have some connectivity to your design, the moment you have some connectivity with your thought process as a designer, you probably will land up in creating something which is way better than your earlier version, alright? So इसके लिए emotions मतलब बहुत प्यार में पढ़ना है क्या design के नहीं. What you have to develop in you is to empathize, okay? Whoever you are designing that particular thing or object for, you need to make sure you think from their perspective. You think from their perspective from every possible manner, from every possible direction of how, why, when, what they will use this particular product. The moment you are in this position to decide and see and think about these kind of points, you will land up and become a designer whose designs, whose products will be up to the mark and will be truly viable. Alright? Understood? Your second stage of design thinking is about define, where you articulate. Okay, you articulate, you compile things in the form of different boards. I don't know if few of you have done Silica or BRDS or any kind of portfolio, you probably know the kind of boards that we do. So they completely depend from person to person, from institution to institution, of how this particular articulation happens, alright? Because there are multiple boards that involve into it, which you eventually will learn in your second year, third year onwards. So the second process after empathize is to define, which is about articulating your work, your thoughts in the form of certain boards. The third stage is to ideate. Obviously, this is the stage where you start developing your thoughts, where you start doing your work in process, you start doodling, you start scribbling, you start experimenting with things, and you try and ideate the best of the product that you can, right? So this involves a lot of sketches, a lot of experimenting in terms of swatches, material handling, material exploration, alright? Right? So the third stage, ideate, holds a lot of idea and solution generation at this particular stage. The next stage is about prototyping, obviously at the third stage where you are trying to define it through different ideas and solutions. There is a point where you need to finalize something, and after you finalize, after you select, after 100 swatches are done and 100 sketches are done, you decide to work on with one. There exactly the prototyping or sampling or in terms of apparel, the tool making happens, okay? So that's the next stage where the prototyping of whatever you have been doing onto paper has been converted into the actual product, okay? Just as a sample, a miniature version is also appreciated, but that's exactly where your ideas take shape in actual life, alright? And the last stage is testing, okay? So testing is not the kind of testing that we usually do for any other branches, but testing is about evaluating how well your design has been worked out or not. And this happens usually by taking feedback in our cases. Okay, when we are done with the prototype, when we are done with our design, we usually send those prototypes to people, take their feedbacks, take their responses on how it is. Are they liking it? Do they want any additions to it? and that's how you go about it, okay? So these 5 stages basically are the foundations of your design thinking. Within this, every institution has their own process, every design faculty has their own interpretation in terms of both, and that fits into all these 5 sectors. Alright? What I follow is, I follow these 5 stages. You will have to remember these 5 stages throughout your design career, because that's how it works, that's how it revolves around. Okay? Any design project, any design thinking will revolve around these 5 stages. Clear? Any questions till here? Alright. So when I say that design is about user, right? I mean it, because if you are creating a product and there is no user, there is no need of it, will your product work? Suppose I will give you an example. I am designing a lunch bag which has probably unicorns to it, superheroes to it, a very nice bioluminescent fabric to it, amazing beautiful print to it, and I am introducing that to a corporate sector. Will that work? Why? They don't need lunch bags? They do, right? They do, right? You know? Why this particular design will not work with them?
You're basically giving to a firm the unicorn bags, which is not the corporate.
No, because my user is wrong. My product is not wrong. My user is wrong to whom I am introducing that. Are you getting my point? So that is one of the basic reason why design is called as user-centric field. Because we need to first understand user. Unfortunately, being designers, what we do is we do what we like. We opt for colors that we like. All of us have done these mistakes, including me. That because I like this color combination, I usually do that. Because I like these prints, I follow those. Because I don't like certain type of ornamentation because चुभता है, मैं वो use नहीं करूँगी. No, it's not about that. It's not about your own interpretation as a designer. It's about what your users like. Okay? And that is one of the basic reasons why it is known to be a user-centric field. And that's the reason why empathize is your first stage of design thinking, where you need to understand your user. Okay? No matter how small product you are doing. How many of you were part of entrepreneurial fair that we had at Inspiro? 1, 2, 3. Can you relate this, what I am saying? That you need to first understand your user. Then you need to understand your competitors. How many of you realize that there were many other seniors who were doing the similar products? Felt? Felt now? Yeah. That's exactly what it is. As a designer, the most important thing is understanding your user and empathize with it. Alright? And that's the reason it is user experience rich field. Besides knowing your user, besides being empathetic, the most important skill that you require to be a designer is the creative thinking, right? All of you are creative. I'm not going to talk much on it, but creativity is not just about ability of creating something new, but it is also about the ability to create something logical, something reasonable, something that has value to it. And that's exactly where we bring into attention critical thinking. Okay? A designer, being creative person, being someone who empathizes, being someone who considers users is something which is very great. But besides that, the critical aspects of why you are designing, what you are designing, for whom you are designing, is a creative thought that needs to be given when you are designing. And that's the reason design thinking followed by a critical thinking is the best combination that a designer has. So critical thinking is obviously the ability to think clearly and rationally about what to do, what to believe. And it enables designers to assess their ideas critically and improve upon them. So this basically, this definition revolves around 5 WH questions. Do you all know about them? Yeah, it's a management theory. So who, where, what, how, and when, right? The moment you are able to answer answer these 5 WH questions, you become a critical thinker. Okay? And your design that you are coming up with holds a lot of importance. Till then, besides this critical thought, your design is just a creative product. The moment you do this, the moment you add critical thinking to it, the moment you apply these 5H WH questions to it, it adds more value to it, it becomes more viable, it becomes more usable, it becomes more functional in terms of its application. Do you all agree? अगर मुझे पता ही नहीं है कि मुझे मेरा क्लाइंट कॉर्पोरेट क्लाइंट है, उन्हें लंच बैग्स की जेन्युइनली नीड है या नहीं है, and still I am creating something with such aesthetics which will not appeal to them, will it work? No, it will not. As a design, probably that lunch bag could be amazing, beautiful, but my user is wrong. My critical thinking is something that lacked, right? Because I didn't realize where and to whom to offer this design to. Do you all get this? So instead, if I just introduce that to a school, probably to a primary section, a fair at the primary section where all the parents will be part of it, will it work there? Will it work there? Obviously it will work there, because there I have thought critically of where, how, to whom I am going to sell that design to, right? So this critical thinking approach with 5 WH questions is something which is vital when it comes to design thinking, okay? It's something very small. Eventually with habits, you will inculcate these habits into yourself. It is not a rocket science कि मैम इतना 2 घंटा लेक्चर देने वाली है, मुझे सब ये याद करना है, मुझे यही करना है. No, you have to just inculcate these habits before you start with any project, be it a small project, be it one of the weekly projects like what you did for the Pidilite, the banners, right? Or it could be any collection which your 4th years are doing. You just have to inculcate this habit in yourself that you start from empathizing, you start by understanding the user, you start applying your creativity with functions and aesthetics, followed by which this critical thinking needs to be there. Alright? Clear? Once you start having this habit, it becomes part of your thought process. And it's very easy. It usually, when you're used to it, it doesn't take more than half an hour for this entire thought process. Because eventually you become perfect to it. Eventually your mind is trained accordingly. And that's how every time when you do something, you ask the question to yourself, why I am doing this? Or whom I am doing this? And where I am going to apply this? Okay? What kind of material I am going to do or use for it? How I am going to bring it here? Right? All these questions automatically follow. Alright? So start having this habit from now onwards. So when it comes to evaluating your designs, okay? We know that design thinking, creative approach, innovation will be part of it, critical thinking will lead to that. But when it comes to analyzing or evaluating your design choices, it's about not just evaluating that one product, okay? It's about evaluating it from every perspective, be it the kind of material, be it the kind of aesthetics it has, be it the kind of functions that it has, be it the kind of forms it has, the kind of shapes, textures, basically everything that you are learning under fundamentals of design, all elements, okay? So that evaluation doesn't happen as a whole, it happens from all these perspectives, alright? So in short, what I want to tell you is critical thinking is a strong backbone of your design thinking. If you are assuming that I am creative, I can create anything inspired from something, I can create newness, I can innovate product, and I am a designer, no. You will be a designer only and only when you have critical thinking backed up by it, right? As a designer, you should be ready to answer these 5 WH questions to anybody who is in front of you in order to be prepared from every perspective of why your design is right, why your design is apt, okay? Design thinking, which is an initial phase, critical thinking, which is a phase which holds a lot of importance, which creates a lot of importance to your design thinking, followed by which, when you combine these two, what happens is the innovation. So innovation is a combination of your creative skills and your critical skills together. Okay? And innovation basically is something to do with any kind of newness that you would like to incorporate in the product, right? When do we create things? Either when we need more functions or we need newness. Am I right? Correct? And that's exactly the point where we innovate. Okay? How many of you have Stanley bottles? How many of you have Stanley bottles? Karana, Eki. I also have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, right? Is it different? Is it different? Does it have a different function? Does Stanley bottles have different function? It has. Besides storing water, it has functions which is handles, which usually most of the water bottles do not have. It has 2 types of handles. We are Stanley lovers here. So it definitely has function. That function is not just storing the water, it's about its convenience, the kind of handles, the kind of drinking method that they have. They probably have flaps or they probably have those straws, and both are functional, right? Or both of them together in bottles, right? They have 2 types of handle. One is like this, one is the side handle, right? So it has function. It has aesthetics. It has beautiful colors, it has beautiful textures, prints, shape, form, which stands out from any other water bottle. It is expensive, that's a different case. Moreover, do you all know why Stanley became famous? Do you know the incident?
Yes.
Can anybody please tell me? Not the faculties. Can anybody please tell me that incident? There is a specific reason why any design or any object becomes famous overnight, right? Sharmisha ma'am, can you tell?
सो एक कार एक्सीडेंट में पूरी कार जल गई थी और उसके अंदर एक स्टैनली का बॉटल रखा हुआ था और उसमें ठंडा पानी था और पूरी कार जल गई, सब हो गया, उसके सब पार्ट्स, सीट कवर्स, एवरीथिंग जल गया, पर फिर भी उस स्टैनली बॉटल में जो पानी रखा था वो ठंडा ही था, तब से वो फेमस हो गई.
Yeah, so technically the incident that happened, that was very sad. But the point to be taken from here is, it became famous from this perspective कि इतना severe accident होने के बाद भी the kind of water that was there inside Stanley, with so many external changes taking place at that moment, it was intact. It was just as cold as it was, right? That was one of the reasons why all of a sudden, because of its function, it became famous. And because it became famous, there were a lot of design developments that kept happening. They're still happening. There are different shapes now. There are different sizes now. There are different functions also to add it to it now. There are different textures. There are different number of accessories added to it. You get what not? You get covers, you get charms, you get different kind of straw stoppers and what not. Yeah. So when it comes to creating something, your design thinking or your critical thinking is not just only it. It is about bringing innovations. Okay. And innovations can be brought in almost every element of design that you are working at this moment, right from the first year. Okay. So why can you all see it? No, even I only can't see. Okay. Why innovations in our field are important? You can just see the numbers probably. Do you think they are important? Do you think we needed Stanley bottles? अभी सब Stanley खरीदने मत लग जाना, expensive है, ठीक है? So do you think we needed that? Is it that कि हम लोगों को पानी के bottles नहीं थे? Or is it that कि हम लोगों के पास कोई storage के लिए solution नहीं था? No, we had. Why we need innovation is because we want to bring some newness. We want to bring something different to our lives. It's a change. Okay, the only constant in our field, in creative field, is change, and it's true. It's very true. If we keep on evolving, we'll be in the field. अगर हम वही करते रहेंगे, nobody will give it a damn. Nobody will buy our products. Nobody will take into consideration what we are doing, right? So change is something that needs to be constantly there, and that's one more reason why innovation is also needed. And because innovation is needed, I just read out from here. The key highlights of why innovation is one of the most important part of the creative field and even in fashion is because more than 75% of the consumers prefer the brands which innovate. Stanley is one of them. There are many other brands when it comes to accessories, apparel, footwear, automobile, and whatnots, even stationeries, even food, the kind of music that we have. Every creative field, 75, it is a universal stat that has been observed that 75% of the users like to buy brands which innovate. That means they like to prefer brands which are giving you something new, right? 30% of the cost saving is due to the innovations in the materials. Innovation at every stage, like I have told you कि तुम्हारे elements के basis पर से ही या वहाँ से ही your innovation starts. It does not just happen in terms of how you design. It also happens from the smallest factors that make a particular design, such as material, right? So there are 30% of the brands who have added value just by changing and innovating their materials. Stanley is one of the material that they innovated with, right? Yes, 40% of the brands have observed, or 40% of the universal stats say that consumer loyalty of the brands that prioritize innovation and sustainability together are preferred more amongst consumers, right? So innovation in terms of sustainability also, because you want your consumer to be loyal to you, you want your consumers to come back to you again and again, right? That's the reason you need to give something new, you need to innovate, and you need to make sure that something lasts for longer, right? Correct? अच्छी नींद आ रही है? Lullaby? आ रही है क्या? आ जाओ सामने सो जाओ. Go wash your faces. Get up, both of you. The one wearing cap and next to her. और किसी को नींद आ रही है, बाहर जाके मुंह धो के आना है तो जाकर आ जाओ. Around 60% of fashion companies make sure that they invest into research and development, where innovation, where sustainability, where experimentations matter a lot. And that is one of the reasons why we see changes in their products whenever they launch new collections. Around 50% of startups focus on solutions that are innovation based, and technology plays the most important part of it, okay? And 20% of 20% of the revenue universally is generated with the kind of products that are innovated. Okay, 20% revenue. Can you believe how much that could be? Universally, the stats say 20% of the revenue is generated with the products that are innovated. Alright, so this is the importance of innovation. These are few more aesthetics. I don't think so you guys are interested in knowing this, but they also specify how technology, sustainability, innovations, design thinking and critical thinking matter a lot when it comes to creative product sectors like we are part of. So this basically, so when we talk about innovation, we are definitely talking about future, correct? We are talking about something which is yet to come. We are talking about something to develop something for the next few months, right? That's exactly where concept of design, which is called as futuristic design, comes into picture. All right. So this futuristic design usually highlights the importance of sustainability, technology, and innovation together in your design thinking and critical thinking. All right. And because we are saying technology, sustainability, and innovation is something that revolves around design thinking, these are few of the stats where around 60% of the consumers prefer the brands or prefer the products that are sustainability driven nowadays. Then 70% of the designers also use technology to develop their products. Then 50% of the youth follows innovation, believes that innovation is key to their success. Then 80% of the industry experts believe that sustainability in design is very, very crucial. And 45% of the brands believe that technology brings with it innovations. All right. So these are also universal stats, but they give you an idea of how only being creative will not be enough for future. You need to make sure that along with your creativity, along with your design thinking skills, you need to have critical thinking, you need to have innovation attitude, you need to have research driven thought process, you need to incorporate technology, you need to think from the sustainable perspective. And all this basically leads in this particular domain called futuristic design. Okay, so I'm going to straight read this out to you. Futuristic design in fashion is not just about aesthetics. Please listen to me very carefully. It encompasses sustainability, technology, and the ability to adapt to changing consumer needs. So we are understanding, we are being empathizing, we are being user centric in order to identify what our users need, but from the perspectives of sustainability, technology, and innovation also. By integrating design thinking and critical thinking, fashion designers can create innovative solutions that redefine the industry. So we are here not to just create, but to redefine our thoughts, our outcomes, our products. Okay? Right? The emphasis on user-centered design and informed decision-making will pave the way for more sustainable and responsible fashion landscape. That's exactly where we embrace futuristic design as a different domain. Okay? So, the gist of the first part of this presentation was to bring you to this particular point, that how design thinking, critical thinking, innovation, sustainability, technology, advancements, creativity, all this together, when we consider, we actually talk about a domain, a field, an area where futuristic design is of major concern. So from here, the part 2 of the presentation and part 2, which is a core of this particular workshop, will start. Do you have any questions till here? Are you all clear? Everybody? I hope you guys are writing down, jotting down few important terms. Or you're just busy talking, checking something out on mobile, or sleeping for a while. I hope not. Yeah? Any questions? I'll ask few questions on this to anybody at the end of the session. Okay? So I hope you have retained and I hope you will remember what I have just spoken. So if this is exactly where we will start. I will give you a brief on futuristic design. Yeah? How many of you think futuristic design is just that one domain or just area or just one subject where we can design? How many of you think like that? No one? So you all think it's a major domain when it comes to design? All of you? Or none of you think anything? Just bored of listening? What is it? Alright, I'll only say. So obviously this is a branch of design that is more imaginative, more modern, more futuristic, more innovative, more technology driven, right? More angular with more metallic colors to it, and something that has futuristic approach where probably we may feel that something which is not needed at this moment. Okay, this is exactly how futuristic design is defined as. Okay, you can see a few things in the pictures that I have given over here, that all these pictures, they define futuristic design. Okay, it is not just a domain, it has a lot of historical approach to it, which I just come to it. So it is not just one approach of how you design. It has a specific manifesto that happened over the period of history. It has a specific background to it. It has a specific meaning and values to it. Okay, so it is not just any other branch of design. It has a lot of meaning and values associated with that. So basically, to start with, art and design has always been connected together. But over the period of year, these connections have been reformed, re-expressed, redefined by different artists. Okay, and when this was redefined, it was redefined in the form of different art movements that happened in our art history. How many of you have read these names or know these names or heard these names in terms of Art Deco, Constructivism, Surrealism, Impressionism, Cubism? Have you all heard them? That's it, only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. पढ़ा है ना, सुना है ना? ये सारे art movements है क्या? These art movements, can you define art movements or these kind of art movements? Anybody? What are these? No one? Have you heard this word called zeitgeist? Have you heard of this word? Zeistgeist. Zeitgeist. It's a very famous theory, okay, which I think you will come across in your third year when you are studying forecasting, okay. So these art movements basically were the zeitgeist. Zeitgeist ka meaning है something which was famous upon a particular time, okay. All these art theories were known, were famous, were practically established during certain period of the historical times, where the events that took place during that particular historic period affected the kind of creativity that artists had. Okay, so because of these changes in their surroundings, the changes in the social norms, the changes in environment, the changes in thought process, the changes in people, changes in politics, all these landed up in having some reinterpretations, some expressions that defined art and design fields. Alright? And that's exactly where the birth of these kind of isms, the birth of these kind of art movements came into existence. For example, Art Deco was the geometric elegance and it had all luxury ornaments. I am sure you remember all these elements, at least with some kind of Hollywood movies, if you can connect them with. We have constructivism, where we are talking a lot about industrial abstraction and functional geometry. So all these were reflected majorly in the kind of sculptures, in the kind of paintings that people did during that time. Then we had surrealism, where dream, imagination, subconscious explorations, sarcasm was at the pinpoint. We had Dadaism, which was completely anti-art. It was rebellious art, which was absolutely against the social flow that was happening. All these art movements kept happening in different decades, in different eras, that defined the social moment of that particular time, right? So I'm not going much in detail for that. Then we have precisionism, classicism, romanticism, impressionism. All these kind of art moments reflected the kind of social choices, the kind of creative expressions, the kind of thought processes of artists and designers that were presented through their different creative forms. They majorly involved paintings, sculptures, the kind of music that they had, the kind of constructions that was happening, architecture that was happening during that time. Okay, so in short, what I wanted to tell you is every era, every decade, every art moment was born out of the re-expression of how art and design worked together, out of which obviously futurism was one of it. Okay, so futurism was also one of the art moments that happened during the history during 19th and beginning of the 20th century, where technology, where innovation, where industrial revolution was happening. Do you all know about industrial revolution? Have you heard of this? It's a very beautiful part of the history that changed our field also very completely. Okay, how many of you have seen this movie called Enola Holmes? 1, 2. अभी हाथ उठने लग गए सबके. Have you if you saw the Enola Holmes 2 very carefully, did you see that particular scene where the women were fighting over the right to vote? I think it was Enola Holmes 2, right? इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन का सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट जो इवेंट था दैट वाज दिस, बिकॉज आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर टू, आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर वन, ड्यूरिंग वर्ल्ड वॉर वन, all the women who earlier used to be known to look after the household chores were sent out to work and earn for the families, for the obvious reason that the men of the families were at the war. Okay, so when pre, during, post and post of World War 1 and 2, women were so independent for working outside, for bringing money to their homes. They were not given the right to vote, right? Because they also had a say. They needed different leaders. They needed leaders who will work for their rights. And that was the reason why that event, that particular revolution started, right to vote, okay, which was shown very, very well in that particular movie. Watch it once again so that you will understand. So that's one of the points where industrial revolution started happening, because the role of women changed. All right. Why I'm telling you this is because that holds a lot of importance when it comes to futuristic design or futurism. So talking a little bit about futurism, it is obviously artistic and social movement that originated in Italy, but was very, very lesser known, because futurism at that time, imagine 19th century and all, you are creating something that is meant for 20th century or post 20th century. Obviously it will not be appreciated much, right? Anything if you create right now for 2090 will not be appreciated much, right? Nowadays. So that the same thing happened, but still, because we know concepts like futuristic design, we still at this stage we can appreciate designs which are based on futuristic values and thoughts, right? But during that time, when it was completely new for people, it was something really very bizarre for people. Obviously, these kind of concepts remained very lesser known, very restricted. Okay, this was a little bit of background about futurism, and in the early 20th century, it actually started emphasizing more, because it involved a lot of elements which were dynamic, which were depicted for the speed, depicted for the technology, the violence, the glorified modernity that the youth, that the people, the society was anticipating for the future. Okay, so they started reflecting something that they want for the future beforehand. And that's exactly where 20th century was the time where it started being incorporated into different kind of creative sectors, where it started then becoming famous. Okay, the major characteristics that it had was the technological advancements. It majorly worked on the rejection of the past. That was one of the reasons why futuristic approach, why futuristic thought process came into existence, because people were bored of what was happening in the past. Okay, the same thing taken over in the present. They wanted something new, again, newness, right? Again, variety, change. Okay, that led to futurism as one of the art movements. It also had modern life experiences. It also had different creative works by different artists and their interpretations. So basically, the people who were staying in the rural areas started opting for the kind of lifestyles that people have in urban areas, urban cities. There was again a difference. Okay, so that reflection of modernism in the kind of lifestyles that they had also had something to do with futurism as the field of art. This is a little bit of history. I'll not talk much about it. So it was basically a manifesto that was created by this very famous Italian poet Filippo Marinetti, who basically was a poet. Okay, the main characteristic of the poetry by Marinetti was going against the flow. People during that time were so bored of everything that was around them. They became rebellious. They didn't want anything from the past. They wanted everything new. And that was the manifesto that was through the poetry of Marinetti, it was introduced, saying that we want no part of it, the past. So we don't want any part of past. We need something new. He wrote that we, the young, the strong futurists. This was a very simple manifesto, but that led to a great movement where it completely changed the way artists and creative people thought. All of a sudden, there was this wave of something completely different than what they used to do. Okay, and that's exactly was the point. This particular poetry, this poet, the social attitude of that time, the zeitgeist of that time was this, and that led to creating the manifesto of coming out of the past and creating something new for the future. All right. So this was a little bit of history. Futuristic design or futuristic approach did not just reflect in the kind of poetry, the kind of art pieces or sculptures or paintings that people had, or the kind of thought process they had. It even changed how music happened, how theatre happened, how cinema, photography, how women were posted in the society, how fashion happened, how food culture changed, everything. It literally affected every field which was product driven. Alright? So the reason why I had to give this particular background is futuristic design is not just one domain. It brings with it a lot of historical context, historical reasoning, social attitudes of why it was established and why it was followed. Okay, so if you think that मुझे किसी भी product में अगर futuristic approach देना है तो this is enough that I just innovate, I just add more functions and more aesthetics and I'll be done. No, it has these kind of things behind it, and hence it is another domain in the design field. All right. So there are these kind of features where dynamism, speed, innovation, technology, lot of machine, lot of angularities have been shown. So I will not talk much about this also. It was frequently depicted in the form of urban landscapes, the cutting edge transportation, the kind of paintings, ceramics, sculptures, the design, the fonts, the typography that have. There are these few characteristics that define futurism. Okay, so what are these characteristics? There are few examples that I have given in terms of apparel which are pretty avant-garde. I hope you all know this term called avant-garde. So many times all the designers are mistaken when they are supposed to create something which is future driven, futuristic. What they do is they try to create something which is not wearable. Avant-garde is something which is not wearable. It's only creative, it is just the interpretation. No, it doesn't happen like that. Even if you are creating something which is futuristic design, which is based on futurism concept, can also be wearable, can also be functional. Alright? And if you add characteristics like abstract, reconstruct, speed, depth, intensity, dynamism, angularities, metallic colors to it, sheen and shine to it, a lot of metal technology to it. All this together can also be something that can be wearable futuristic design. Alright? We'll take few examples in terms of how futurism affected the entire society. So you can see few examples like Chrysler building in New York, which was a great example of futurism during the 20th century. Then the emotional vortex was one of the very famous painting that was done in the Art Deco history. Then the kind of constructivism which was about more modern techno and urban that happened with the kind of print promotions that happened during that time. Alright? Few more examples like certain paintings by Salvador Dali, then Neo-Futurism, then Dadaism, which was completely anti-art, where anything that was unexpected was shown. Cyberpunk, which is I think was one of the greatest influence of futurism that happened during what era? You all are 2000 post born, right? So you don't know. Y2K, have you heard of it? Y2K was the era where it was cyberpunk. Okay, so that was again futurism. Alright. Obvious reasons. Do you all know Y2K? Read about it. It was a great sort of social moment where cyberpunk, where technology, where futurism came into existence all of a sudden, because there was a question mark that after 31st December 1999, how the computers are going to take the date of 2000. That was the biggest question in the history of technology. That was the reason why Y2K, that millennium, that era was more towards technology, more future driven, more cyber punk driven. Okay, so read more about this. It has a very beautiful history to it. So this was also one of the genres that came as a part of futurism, and it was frequently seen during that time. And yeah, I'll come to that particular point later. Then when we talk about different areas like paintings, it had certain characteristics like I have named. So this is one of the very famous painting by Bala, which is Dynamism of a Dog on a Leash in 1912. So technically speaking, this painting does not have any meaning. It is something which is illogical, but just because the kind of motion that are shown on the dog's legs is something that showed futurism during that time. Okay, that's how every individual artist interpreted futurism in their individual art areas. So it has motion, creativity, rhythm, repetitions, spaces with emphasis. Okay. Though today we look at this particular painting as just one art form, it had all these characteristics, it had all these thoughts to depict it as a futuristic creative work. Alright? So you need to understand the core of the futurism, that it was not just creativity, it was a thought, it was a critical thought, it was innovation at the same time, which was given. Okay? Another example, which is the sculpture by Umberto, which is a unique form of continuity in space, which was created in 1913. It is in one of the famous museums in New York now. And this has the kind of elements which are fast-paced, shows modern life, movement, emerging shapes, and new dynamics of how a human body is perceived as. Alright? Then the kind of futuristic music by Russello in 1913 with mechanical orchestra. So mechanical orchestra is something that we see even nowadays, but that was a concept developed during 1913 where everything metal was brought together to have different sounds, and then it was compiled together as an orchestra, which became a very famous type of music, which was known as mechanical orchestra, with the elements like newness, creativity, multi-purpose recycling, new ideas, and creative utilization of the usual stuff. So sustainability, innovation happened in that music sector, also considered futurism. Then the literature, the kind of fonts, the kind of typographies that happened during early 19th century that had intuitions, analogy, irony, eradication, reforms, synthetic lyricism, and experimentations. Okay, loud fonts, loud colors, right, which earlier were only used to be black and white. They started adding more colors to it. They started adding more boldness to it. Okay. Then the kind of films that happened. So Thias is the silent film that happened in 1917, which only had a black and white colors, but they completely changed the way the sets happened. The cinematography happened during that time. Okay, so they had a very different way of filming the entire cinema. They had influences which were taken from different regions, like Japanese influence. They were black and white. They had contrast dramatic surfaces used as a background. They had technological and cyberpunk effects, which earlier having in black and white movies or cinema was impossible. Okay? Especially in the silent cinema. Then the architecture, where a silent film set design was done in 1927 with all the angularities, with all the geometry, where modernity was kept at its core. Okay, so they wanted to show the different kind of architecture. They had built an entire set over there, which was completely sustainable. It was made out of some used leftover wood, and it was again recycled later on. Okay, so that was a concept in 1927 that those filmmakers had, that whatever they'll do in the production for that particular cinema will be reused later on. Then the kind of dance fields that we had. So the ballet, the Rousse's Dance Company, which was founded in 1900, also had futuristic approaches in the way they designed the costumes, in the way they designed the music at that time. Okay, in the way the storyline of those ballet dance happened at that time, which was again a provocation, showcased drama, abstract principle, nationalism, urbanity, and neutral clothing at the same time, which earlier dance type like ballet never had. Okay, so yeah, so till here we could experience that futurism was not just a thought. It was a complete manifesto that happened in all these areas where creativity was concerned. Okay, so if we think that all these art moments that were listed in the previous slides were just about design, no, they were not. They were about changing how people thought. It's about changing the social norms. It's about changing how people reacted to something. Okay, so all these art moments, when they were meant for these kind of things, your futuristic design or futurism was also known to have this particular manifesto of innovating something. But the reason why we are including it over here is because when we are talking that design thinking or designing is not just about creativity, it is also about design thinking from the core, critical thinking, incorporating innovation, futurism to it. All this works very, very, very closely to the concept of futuristic design. Alright? There are a lot of other examples also that we have nowadays watch on OTT platforms. How many of you have seen Lost in Space on Netflix or Netflix? That's it, just one. How many of you are Stranger Things followers? Yeah. अभी OTT बोलते ही सबकी नींद उड़ गई ना? So yes, there are lot of influences. Star Trek. How many of you followed Star Trek? I don't know. You guys are millennials. Not even millennials. You are 2000 born. I don't know how many of you followed Star Trek, but millennials followed Star Trek like anything. For them, futurism was Star Trek, right? You just go and watch it. You ask these questions to probably your parents. I think they are millennials. So you ask this question to them, that did they ever follow Star Trek? Did they ever follow anything that happened during that era which was futuristic oriented? This was the answer, right? Because that was the kind of change that happened even in the entertainment industry. And coming to that particular point, I'm coming to entertainment industry only, where there are lot and lot of OTT based series and movies that revolve around futurism as the core concept. So it is not just the kind of garments that they have or the kind of outfits that they have which are futuristic. Everything that you look at it, the kind of music, the background, the productions, the cinematography, the kind of characters, the makeup, hairstyle, apparel, accessories, jewelry, the kind of props that they use, everything is oriented, is designed out of the concept of futuristic design. So Black Mirror is one of it, where you will see smart garments, tech integrated fashion like LED dresses, biometric wearables, convertibles, and so on and so forth. Okay. Then we have altered carbon post-human fashions in many of the OTT platforms, where the silhouettes are enhanced, the cyberpunk influences are given. Lot of different kind of materials are used as primary materials. Okay, like the leathers, the kind of material which are blends of technology and leather were used during that time. Then Upload is also one of the OTT based series which showed a digital afterlife effects, which was also revolved around futurism, because you will see a lot of variability happening, but there was some kind of gadget, some kind of technology, some kind of props that they designed. They were based on futuristic approach and futuristic definitions. Then the peripheral, again, it had a clean futurism, which had techwear collections, utilities, and the color palettes that were innovated for future. All right. So all this, 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is one of the most celebrated futuristic approach given to the cinema. So this particular movie, you do watch it whenever you get time. You will see futuristic design happening from every perspective in this movie. You will see functional uniforms, you will see modular design, you will see convertible designs, you will see amazing props and accessories, how they are multifunctional, how they are futuristic, and this movie basically lets you think that, oh, is it possible? Can I create some kind of accessory like that? And that's exactly what they have tried to show through futuristic design in this one. Then Lost in Space, I just spoke. Lost in Space has a very beautiful concept. Lost in Space has a very logical explanation to few of the things in the storyline that they have used in terms of the way they designed their interiors, their sets, the kind of music, the kind of smallest detailing that they had. And do watch that particular series, and you will see what futurism is really all about. Then All for Mankind is also retro space functionalism based this thing OTT release, where heritage workwear met innovation. Obviously, when we talk about future, we are not just going to talk about anything that is new. We probably will not be in the position to create something new every time, but we will also be in the position to use something from the present towards a future, right? So it's also about sustaining that we already have, or taking something from the past and present and do something for the future. So this was all about that. It was a combination of past, present and future, and how it has been clubbed together. Then the expense, this was also about the industrial utility futurism, which was majorly shown through the kind of outfits that they had. In short, futuristic design is that one art moment that brought into picture a very different kind of thought process for the people who belong to the creative field. It also brought with it a change of thoughts, change in every way the product industry, the creative product industry happened during that time. Alright? And this was not just relevant to the products or objects, but it was also about changing the social attitudes. That's exactly what it is all about. Okay? There are a few more points which are added over here. You can read and go through them. If you need this particular presentation, I'll give it to you. Uh, but before that, because this session today we have it for 6 hours, whatever I have just spoken about, okay, I hope you have understood all this. I hope you have in short understood the definition of futuristic design, the importance of design thinking, critical thinking and innovation, and how it can lead to futuristic design. I hope you have understood this. I'm just hoping that, because based on that, this is the kind of work that you have to do. I hope you all know that you were supposed to make a group of 5 people. Everybody knew it? I hope you have done that. So there are these 3 things that you have to do. We are not thinking about any product at the moment. What we are going to do is, the first thing that we are going to do is, we are going to become the solution provider, right? So from futuristic perspective, if I ask you to pick up any one problem for which you would like to provide a solution, okay, that solution could be in the form of anything that I just spoke about. It could be absolutely anything. Okay, it could be apparel, accessory, jewelry, bag, a prop, an automobile, a gadget, a device, an app, anything. But that you are not supposed to think at this moment. I want you to right now just be a solution provider for a particular problem that may revolve around probably the climate changes that will take place in 2050 maybe, 25 years from now. We will just keep that window of 25 years. So anything that you are thinking, you think it from the perspective of you are doing it for the year 2050 and onwards, okay, 25-30 years from now. So you can think of any problems that will revolve around probably the kind of climate change, or urban overcrowding, or digital fatigue, or safety and mobility, or sustainability and waste. So these are the 5 areas that I have given you as example where I want you all to find out a problem area, okay, to become a solution provider. I am not calling you designers at the moment. I think I will start calling you designers only when you will pass out your 4th year, when you are in the position to know the definitions of these 3-4 things that I have covered today. Not futuristic design, but yes, design thinking, critical thinker and an innovator. So when, or the day when you will accomplish the combination of these 3, that day you all will be designers. Alright? So at this stage 1, you are not designers, you are just solution provider. But solution provider you will become only when you will identify the problem. Right? So for next 25 or 30 years, I want you to identify any one problem. Okay? And how that will affect humans, mankind. I want you to come up with that. Alright? So I want you to basically write a little bit about it. You have all your laptops with you with internet connections. I want you to find out little more information on it. And I want you to give me that problem statement which is substantial, that will lead you to create something for the next stage. Okay? Once you are done with stage 1, then happens your critical thinking, where your question of what can be done will come into picture. Okay? So to solve that problem that you have identified at the first stage, what could be the solution? Is it going to be a product? Is it going to be a service? Is it going to be a combination of both? Or what is it? What is it that becomes your solution? These 2 things you have to think, and you will meet me sharp at 12. So I want you all to start working in the group right now. On this 3rd floor, you can sit anywhere you want in the group. Use internet, use images to support your problem statement. I don't care what you do, what kind of inputs you take from. Use AI if you can. But I need to have a substantial problem, followed by which you will give me a solution of what form of the solution you are gonna design for it. Alright? Have you all understood? If you have listened to me very carefully for past 1.5 hours, you will be in the position to give me amazing problem statements with amazing solutions to it. And if you have just heard it like that and left it completely, God helps you, or internet or AI helps you. But trust me on this, having working with AI, with research, with design very, very closely, the moment you get me any AI thing, I'll know that moment. Okay? Yes.
Do we have to like create come up with a product, or we have to come up with
No, not yet. Right now, you will just give me a written problem statement followed by certain images that, ma'am, yes, we think that the climatic changes would be such in 2050 or 2060, right? You support that with one image, AI generated works. If you find it on Google, readily available. If you find it from any of the futuristic based movies, or if you would like to really consider any futuristic based entertainment sector जो you think will become a substantial problem for future, you can even take that. So in the first thing, you will identify your problem statement, write it down, follow it by a supporting photograph. And second stage, where you have to suggest the kind of solution that you would like to give me. Now that solution could be in the form of options, it could be in the form of a product. Then what kind of product, you just have to write it down. You're not supposed to design anything. That we'll do later on, okay? I want you to just gather your thoughts at the moment. So we are just doing design thinking at the moment. And we are starting with problem identification. Alright? Here everybody. So 1 or 2 page, that's it, including images, is something that I am expecting till 12. Alright? Yes. 25 minutes. 35 minutes actually. No, 40 minutes. We have 40 minutes. Alright, have you all understood? Everybody, 5 लोगों के ग्रुप में एक को तो समझ में आ गया ना क्या करना है, right? Start working and you are meeting me here right after 40 minutes.
प्लान कि हम लोग सस्टेनेबिलिटी और क्लाइमेट को मर्ज करेंगे, उसका एक प्रॉब्लम बनाएंगे, देन विल थिंक ऑन द सॉल्यूशन.
ज्वेलरी के अंदर या
नो नो इट्स समथिंग
अच्छा हाँ
तो बस अभी नहीं करना है.
The thing is, I want you to read 2 futuristic problems I asked Sushanta. That you can come up with probably any movie which is based out of futuristic. So I just give you a few examples. Probably if you follow a certain movie or a certain series or a certain work of literature, you may assume something कि yes, it is this would be a problem and they would like to provide a solution. So it could be that way. So these were just the examples that I wanted.
Are all the groups are here? Okay. Have you all worked out on your problem statement? Everyone? Okay. How many of you have discussed it with me already? Okay. How many of you have gone to stage 2 as a solution over your problem? Okay. I'm going to present the next slide, which will give you an idea of what kind of solution we can think of for the problems that we have identified. Okay? I don't think so you will be able to see it. I'll just read it out quickly. So it could be, the solution could be in the form of bags or carry solutions. Okay? Then you can do some footwear concepts. You can think of doing some head or face accessories. Okay? Then you can do some wearable utility accessories, or you can do some multi-use lifestyle accessories. I have already given examples over here. You can just come here and check them out. So under each category I have given number of products that you can do or the type of products that you can do. So I want you to now rethink about your problem statement, and from the solution perspective, just check what kind of category of products or as a solution you can think of doing. Alright, so what I was saying was, I have given you multiple options right in front of you. I want you to rethink on the problem statement that you have done already, right? And see if in any case any of these solutions will be suitable for it or not. Those who have discussed problem statements with me are coming up with extensive problems. They are very great. I really appreciate their critical thinking. But you also have to make sure that it's not just about problem identification, it is also about critical thinking followed by what kind of innovation you would like to bring into it to resolve it. Okay? Clear? So just see, because our field is again limited to certain kind of products with certain mechanisms and functionalities associated with that, with certain materialities also. Okay? Considering all that, I have given these number of products or the kind of product sectors which you can think of incorporating your problem statements into the form of solutions. Okay? Please go through it and tell me if your problem statements can be a part of the solution for any of these, yes or no. Think of it. Few of the groups had this question mark that we have come up with a problem but we don't know what solution we are doing. Can you now find out your solution with this? Girls? Yes. Everybody? All the groups? This is easier now? You can't find the solution. Okay. What is the solution that you can think of? What is the problem? Can you discuss that?
The problem is the lack of water and which uses in denim making.
Uh-huh.
A lot of water is used in denim making. Or what could be the problem in the future and what can be the...
Do you think 25-30 years from now, जहाँ पर natural resources ही कम रहेंगे, people will be more interested in making denims or saving water? What is it? So that becomes your major problem. So I think, I'm sure, you will find one of the solutions here. Think. Anybody else? Sit properly. is, yeah. Listen. Why not? If sanitation is your issue, you can definitely think of carry solutions. No, concentrate on one. You cannot concentrate on multiple problems, girls. One thing at a time is the solution. There are n number of problems that we are surrounded with in life, right? But can many or multiple problems give you a solution in one product or one form? No. Probably all the problems will require a separate solution within that, right? And we are not in the position to do so. We have to, you need to narrow down your problems to any one thing. Okay? I'm very glad that you guys are able to think this much, that this will be the kind of problems in future. But what you are unable to do is you need to narrow it down and keep it simple to one particular aspect. You cannot mix denim and water saving together because for obvious reasons, 2030, 2060 में, people 2050 and 2060 में, people will not concentrate more on the kind of material or the denim fabric that they want to produce. They in fact probably in the position to revive what they have or sustain what they have, right? For them at that time the major issue will be water and the storage, right? Sources of natural water. So for that what can you do, right? Concentrate on the basic problem that you are coming across. Don't associate more problems with it, okay? Try to narrow it down to only one single area of the problem. Right? The only difference is I have not given anything related to apparel here, okay? When I conduct this particular workshop to different Silicon and DRDS and some other agencies, there I give them a different task. There I give them the outcome to be from the specializations that we have. Like since we have jewelry, we have textiles, we have communication, we have apparel, right? So I give them tasks accordingly. But right now at this moment, I don't want to give it that to you because I want you to first think creatively, think critically and innovate, okay? If I tell you to do the outfit, I think it will be easier for you to do so, but may not be relevant to the problem that you guys are coming across with. So I want you to think more deeply, go in the core of the problem statements like you have already done and try to relate it to some kind of product sector which is not just apparel. Yeah? Everyone? Read this particular slide very, very carefully. I'm sure somewhere or the other you will find your solution. Right? I'm giving you 15 minutes to fix up with that. Because in next 15 minutes or after 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to do. Are you all carrying your papers? Are all the group members here? Alright, okay. Giving you 15 minutes to decide upon any one of them which will suit your problem statement and tell me. Okay? It's 1:45. I'm starting sharp at 2 again. Right?
Thinking that how we can convert the product. Think about it. Do you think anywhere it can match? Do you think any kind of variable utility accessory will help? Yeah, that's think, discuss. Yay critical thinking है. So you need to discuss that. If we need to find we change the problem.
That can lead to obesity. The obesity will lead to less bonding because there would be more muscle. So then our bone density is only less than we won't be able to
Too extreme, but okay.
So we actually came वहाँ पर solution also है. You are gonna design device or an application, so it will give tasks. So suppose whenever we are unable to think, we just to avail this facility, we have to do some certain tasks. So that we can so yeah, so this app or the application will give us tasks.
You already have it with you. I mean, Amazon may have that multicolored circle वाला होता है that है. So that triggers you. So you're now what? You are just like 200 calories away or 200 steps away from your daily.
Yeah, but that's the app that that's not a choice. Yeah, you have to move to your work. So nowadays there's this chip that is coming
But then if you are making that a mandate, a regional mandate or a national mandate, something that suits every social strata or every social strata or person from every social strata will be able to accommodate in that particular system. So it could be anything. Now you think what is that fits under this particular thing where you will be able to embed this kind of system. So basically very small basic range which are there already pending on your social media or something like
home setup, easy talking the lights. So we can just
no, think of a device, but think of a device which is more lifestyle based. Like it could be a part of an accessory, maybe a watch or something. But watch is again something not every person from social strata will be able to afford. So you have to think from that perspective that it needs to be really very cheap and inexpensive, but at the same time as embedded in the system that one person is able to and get. So what could be that? There you think, there you see, it could be a footwear, it could be a bag or a bag solution, it could be a hair or a face accessory. With just one small earring or earring sensing. Okay? So something very small, easy to install that chip or that system to it and probably a foot earring at the same It could be a vibration or an alarm right next to my ear, but उसका intensity क्या है? Right, but you write it down properly, and now I'll tell you the second stage. What is it? I'm not humidity what do you but you try and add a gap, also have a bag,
So for now, as we have cotton, maybe silk, cotton, these are some fabrics that we can import in some cases.
So in this case, you will have two problems. One is resource scarcity, जहाँ पर तुम्हें material ही नहीं है. In that case, you have to innovate a material which will stand for जितना बड़ा manufacturing of the right. The resource scarcity which could be a combination of all these or something that we already have with more finishing to it, and then that you will utilize in the product. If you're talking about climate change, first thing is material. Second is what product you make. So climate change में क्या बोल रही हूँ? Where is the natural कि धूप आ गई, बारिश हो रही है, कीचड़ भी है, at the same time ठंडी भी है, and कोई one fair then what kind I'm not sure about
Climate is going to be unpredictable. ऐसे bags, ऐसे accessories impact technology. So overall now you put the perspective of footwear and the original for the material one will be thought of कि shortage ये जो fast fashion ये natural materials को only waste कर रहे हैं and ये बाकी का भी waste करते हैं तो बहुत सारे landfills करते हैं expand करते हैं
that's what I'm saying. Material is one part of it, after which you will go ahead with the product. Get me something from this perspective. I hope your other members are ready. Yeah, find out that. Are you talking about industry which provided in the production produces toxic fuels? And it's not chemical there is something that you will design. So be specific on find out. create some distraction in the form of something जहाँ पर तुम्हारा user distract हो from digital applications and gets engaged. Something which can be a physical toy, which is probably a wearable utility, right? It could be my bed, it could be my watch, जिसमें multiple fidgeting made है, and it is अलग-अलग ऑप्शन है तो स्कार्फ है या बैग है या तुम्हारा है so probably you can design something which can be My point is, instead of designing scarf, bag, or design a system which can fit into any organization which will give you efficiency तो शायद तुम्हें इसके लिए कम प्रोडक्ट्स you just pick up that system, you use it in your computer, that you use it as a interface and it will give you that experience. Okay? So you probably do not need this kind of thing. You need one system, one device to design. सेम लगेगा या इलेक्ट्रिसिटी लगेगा या सम पावर लगेगा कुछ एनर्जी लगेगा कैन इट रन ऑन सोलर कैन यू डू दैट बाजू हटो यहाँ पर इतने लोग नहीं चाहिए मुझे I'll call you. I'll call the next group.
We have time. Which have no restrictions. So it's like after when
But digital detox from device ही देंगे. जो digital use.
but ma'am, it is not a speed. It is a device.
It is a device, right? How to practice it? Okay, so how will that product come? Or is it digital detox knowledge technology used in the content is truly experienced, right? So just remove the technology part of the product. Device, जैसे electricity निकाल दे या कोई digital, how will you design that? Got it? In that case, some device to monitor or probably or the urine or just then part of my spectrum. Have you identified your problem? What is it? You can't do it. For that particular problem. So that will be done by
आगे जाके कोई का बहुत so this will be like something for people to use for daily use, like going out and enjoying.
like what?
Yeah, but if you have big magnet, so it's like if you press that on it just sucked in maybe like magnetic field, so it's like you can carry it around. So like you're going away, you pay, so like you
Three problems together. Okay, just concentrate on that one problem and try to find out solution which probably will fit into any one of these categories, right? Which also you are going on correct path. Okay, many of you are designing some kind of cape, some kind of lifestyle accessories, some sort of jewelry or devices or apps and so on and so forth, right? You're again on right track. Now the third most important thing that you have to do is 2-3 groups who have done this entire thing in the form of 2-3 slide ka PPT. That's a great job, and that's how you were supposed to do it and show it to me. Many of them have just shown me something written on the paper, something drawn. That will not work. That's the reason you were supposed to carry the laptops. So try to do it in the PPT format. Okay, 3-4 slides works with me, right? So the third most important thing is you have to find out your user. Probably those who are still not clear with their problem statement, those who are clear with problem statement but not clear with what kind of solution in the form of a product which needs to be done, will be clear once you decide your user. Do you want to go out, sweetheart? Do you want to go out? बातें मत करो. Alright, so you need to find out your user. User in terms of what gender? Obviously, because that changes a lot of things in terms of functionality of the product and the aesthetics of the products. Second most important thing is the age group of your user. Alright, these two things are very, very important. Age group and the gender. Is that very clear? And probably if you do not want to specify gender, you can simply mention that this product is unisex. Products can be used in any genders or for any gender. But age group is something that also matters a lot, because there are many things that may cater to a certain age group, may not cater to the others. Okay? So these two things in terms of identifying user is extremely important, because that will help you more in terms of designing. Alright? Once you're done with your user identification, the fourth task that you will do is, जो कुछ thoughts आप मुझसे discuss कर रहे हो, या whatever you have planned, या whatever you have put up in your PPTs, I want you to start visualizing that in the form of sketches. I hope you all are carrying your papers. Enough of talk right now. I want you to go sit anywhere on this floor, listen to music. जो music पसंद है वो लगाओ group में. But the only condition is all of you have to sit together group wise, and everybody will draw me options. Okay. Suppose if you are thinking of a finger ring which has some embedded system to it which tracks my health. Okay. Especially say my oxygen level, right? Which was very essential thing when we were in the COVID phase, right? So if I'm doing that, I want all 5 members or number of people in the group to visualize their own interpretations of how and what kind of finger ring will be there. What kind of chip or device or system will be embedded into that finger ring which will track my health. उस tracking में क्या होगा? Is it just going to be my oxygen level, or is it just going to be my pulse, or it's going to be my BP also, or for that matter it is going to be my sugar also, or a basic tracking of my heart rate? What is it? How will that look? What kind of shape of my fingering will be there? What kind of material do I need? Because I have to also consider कि ये fingering में 24/7 पहनूंगी, right? So I have to even think of the kind of material that I need. Correct? Can I add some aesthetics to it that with my temperature it will change the color also, right? So think from 2 perspectives when you are doing the design. One is product for sure. Second is the kind of material that you would want. Okay. There are 2-3 groups who also need to work on the kind of material. So they'll not just innovate the product, but they'll also try and innovate the material which is required to suit the product. Are you getting my point? When you all sit together, when you share your ideas, this will not take more than half an hour. Okay? What will take little more time is the way you are, scribbling, the way you are actually translating your visualizations in the form of sketches. Will take little bit time. Okay? So I want you all to start working on this immediately. We are already at 2:15. I want you all to be done with this particular thing by 3:30 sharp. Including the product, okay? No, not 3:30, sorry. By 3 sharp. Because when all the group members will get me those sketches, we will discuss which is the best solution. We will do some little bit of design matrix. I'll tell you what design matrix is. And then we'll finalize with one good design. And then we will render and we will do the entire PPT, we'll complete it and we'll submit it today itself. So even if it is 5:30 today, we are going to do this and then only we are supposed to leave. Alright? Clear? Everybody? Yes.
But beta, you are thinking of 30-40 years from now. तब तो mass production में production भी कितना लगेगा, you are at a question. If you are talking about the problem at this moment, this is a perfect problem. If you are talking about the problem that won't be there anymore. तब तुमको ओवर प्रोडक्शन नहीं, तुम्हें जो है उसी में मैनेज करनी होगी. या probably you have to reduce your wardrobe from 100 to say 5 only, because you probably will have no space to live. You have to continuously roam and travel somewhere, and you need to have a capsule wardrobe with you.
Basically, our product idea was once you're done with the fabric quality is set, so instead we can convert it into light, but not everyone is aware of stitching. Not everybody knows how to stitch.
Technically, your problem is probably space. In this case, what if I have one garment which can act as my backpack, which can act as my jacket, which can act as my denim, which can also act as my belt. This is something that you can think of taking up. So you will have some problem of space, you will have problem of wardrobe, you will have problem of having multiple clothes. So you need things that are multifunctional. That becomes this could be देख सकते हो वो भी, बट और क्या उसमें कुछ और ऐड करना है, क्या है मटीरियल कुछ इनोवेट होगा या नहीं. What is the problem that you are facing? मुझे लगता है उस टाइम पे एग्रीकल्चर रहेगा और उसका वेस्ट रहेगा. हाउ यू फीलिंग नाउ? बेटर? नेचर रहेगा जहाँ पर एग्रीकल्चर एग्जिस्ट करेगा. Have you not seen any future movies? So have you seen nature being impacted? एग्रीकल्चर कितना रहेगा, लैंड सॉइल कितना रहेगा, पानी कितना रहेगा एग्रीकल्चर. फाइंड आउट सोल्यूशन फॉर हैविंग माय ओन से गार्डन. अगर मेरा घर है और मेरा घर एकदम बहुत इम्पैक्ट और छोटा सा हो गया है एंड आई नीड माय पर्सनल गार्डन, आई नीड माय पर्सनल फार्म, which probably if I have to shoot somewhere I can just carry it along. This is my personal. उस टाइम पे 30-40 years from now, you would have adequate space to have your faith and your agriculture and that. Instead, you will have something that will be very personal, which I can carry with you. That's great. How many of you think that whatever you have drawn is possible to make as a product? Great. How many of you think that there is still possibility to improvise on your design? Of course, there is always that scope, okay? So the next stage, what I want you all to do is, since anyway right now all of you have given your own interpretation, right? Your interpretations are still something that you like. The shapes you have used are something that you like. Probably if you have colors, so you have used the colors that you have liked, right? So still there is that me factor which is still coming. What I want you all to now do is, I want you all to observe all the sketches of your group members, put them together, put it in front of them, okay? Settle down quickly. Okay, we are almost about to wind up, so please listen to me very carefully. So what you are supposed to do right now is, I want you all to observe each other's sketches, keep it in front of you all. Oi bhai, mata sun. So, the reason why we are doing this is because we are trying to do and follow a design matrix pattern. Okay? Have you heard of this design matrix ever? Any clue? Okay. That's basically a technique that I have come up with after so many years of study. So you probably will not find much on that relevant to our field. So design matrix is that one method of how you can pick up the best elements out of each design, club them together to form that one best design. This usually is followed when you guys are doing multiple sketches. There is a lot of confusion happening. There is a particular limit where your mind reaches and you think that अभी बस अभी इसके बाद मुझसे कुछ नहीं होगा या इसके बाद मुझे कुछ सूझने नहीं वाला, I cannot create anything. That is the point where actually your cup over here is emptied and you are ready to explore more. Okay? So technically speaking, that is the point where you can start thinking creatively. Alright? So basically we want to make sure that we reach to that particular limit. Jo limit, if you come under me for any particular subject, will be around 100, 150 or 200 sketches. Right now we are just keeping it on one each. But we will still try and follow this design matrix technique, okay? By keeping your sketches in front of you all, you only will select the best of the elements from each sketch, right? All of you have done one product only. It is not that all the group members have come up with different products, correct? So, I want you all to find out the best in somebody else's sketch, not in yours. So, somebody else will do it for your sketch. So there you won't have your personal recommendations or you don't have your personal choices being followed. Cater excellently to the problem that you have selected. It may happen. So it may happen like 5 factors होंगे, 5 functions होंगे, या 3 होंगे, या 2 होंगे, या 1 से ज़्यादा होंगे, right? Because all of you have used your creative brains into it. Do you all agree? किसी का suppose जो हमारा finger ring वाला concept है, रिंग का शेप अलग हो सकता है, साइज अलग हो सकता है, डिमेंशन अलग हो सकता है. The chip that you're trying to put into with some embedded system to it could be different, right?
the way you are putting that chip into that finger ring could be different. That finger ring could have some other function to it. Temperature tracking ho sakta hai, and so on and so forth, right? So basically with this matrix, if you want to leave, you can. जिनको बात करनी है, please leave. जिनको बात करनी है, please leave the class. So, what we are trying to do is we are trying to bring the best of the design out of 5, 6, 7 creative minds that have come together. Okay? And we are trying to be futuristic from the perspective of its use and application to cater to that one problem that we have identified. Alright? So, after you do this, you will come up with that one final design, which I want you all to render by hand, put it in AI, okay, and ask for a final version of that. I want you to give the description to AI what you are trying to create, because if you just upload the image, that will not be enough. How many of you have used AI so far? Most of you, okay? So it completely depends on what prompt you are giving. You have to make sure the moment you upload this final one image of your product, you have to prompt it to refine this from this perspective of this product for this particular solution in the form of so and so product, like say cap or a stool or a bag and so on and so forth, okay? What AI will do is we are adding technology here. So what we are trying to do, we are combining everything that we have learned since morning. What all? Design thinking, creative thinking, innovation, technology, AI, and so on. So you will, ये जो final image रहेगा, which you will combine all the elements and make a final sketch. You will render it, you will put it in the AI with all the necessary prompts, and you see what AI is generating for you. I want you all to add these two images, your 5 sketches, which are pencil rendered, plus that one combined image with final rendering, and AI वाली जो generate की हुई image है, I want you all to add that in the PPT of 5-6 slides that you are making, and add it over there and write down that prompt, okay? So technically speaking, the outcome of this workshop is going to be these 5-6 slides that we are doing, okay? Your problem identification, your design and critical thinking to it, your innovation to it, your solution, your sketches, that is your iterations, and the kind of things that you have made, and the last thing is your final prototype, which is a digital visualization. Is that very clear? Right? So if you remember the 5 stages of design process, in short we have done all that today. जो usually तुम्हारे seniors 4th year में करते हैं, हम लोगों ने without board ये आज कर लिया है when you are in 1st year. In short, right? That doesn't mean, that doesn't prove that you are a designer. This is just a beginning. Alright? So you have to submit all this by tomorrow only. I want you all to give the first slide the name as the workshop name today, which is Design Thinking, Critical Thinking and Innovation. You will add your group members' names, right? And you will send us that PPT. You can send it on my email. I'll give you my email ID. It is Mallika, Mallika@soft.ac.in. Mallika, Mallika@soft.ac.in. I should be getting these emails before 12 noon tomorrow. Alright?
Or we can create a drive.
Or else, if you are not able to do that, I'll ask your CCs or I'll ask Naina ma'am to create a drive where group wise you will put your documents. Now another surprising element is, based on this document that you are going to submit, I am going to select students, I am going to select groups who will work further with me for a particular project based on futuristic design. Alright? Here. So there are 2 upcoming competitions that are coming up, which out of which one is national, one is international. So all those groups who will perform better, write better, compile things better as per the content that we have taught, will get a chance to participate for this competition. Alright? But it has to reach to me before 12 noon tomorrow. Is that very clear? And I hope you enjoyed the session. Though it was little boring because तुम लोग को आदत नहीं है इतना सुनने की, एक जगह बैठने की. That's your problem. You need to work out. But content-wise, this is something this is not there in any of the syllabus. This is something really different that you have learned. And I'm sure somewhere or the other in any of the creative subjects, you will be able to utilize all this that you have learned today with me. Alright? So this is just a beginning. Trust me on this. You have learned a lot of skills which you can apply later on. And I think you will become amazing designers for tomorrow. Alright? Okay, see ya. Thank you so much.